No.
No.
What are you doing?
Good save there.
There's nothing more gay relatable than bailing on Jim.
Ugh.
Not appetizing. I was going to say, there's another term for that. Hello, and welcome to The Queer Gaze, where we react to LGBTQ+ media from every country and every decade.
We're reacting to gay coming-of-age films, complete with nuanced discussion of queer representation and issues.
You can support the show and get access to extra content and full unedited videos over at Patreon.
And you can follow us on social media at The Queer Gaze.
Alright, so I realized I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Joe, and Conrad, what are we fixing our gaze on today?
We'll get better at this. So today we are going to watch something that I have seen and that you have not. So this is kind of a landmark, I think, in British queer cinema. It's the 1996 British romantic comedy Beautiful Thing, directed by Hettie MacDonald. And it's based on a play by Jonathan Harvey that originally debuted in the Bush Theatre in 1993 with Johnny Lee Miller playing the sporty one.
Really?
Yeah. He did not revive his role on the West End when it went to the West End, but still, and he's not in this movie, sadly. So
I should not get excited, is what you're saying.
Well, I don't know. See what you think of Glenn Berry and Scott Neal, who are our leading actors. Are you ready for this one?
I'm ready.
Right, now, this is Mr. Bennett, and he's going to be taking the boys for football. Mr. Bennett foolishly wants to be a teacher.
Look at that fucking
Now,
shell
whereas I
suit
might
there.
think he's Edward.
Shell suits, remember those?
Fucking looking at.
Unfortunately, I do.
Looking and more attention, please. Something you might have said to your boyfriend, that, Gina. Right.
Whoa.
Yes.
Okay. We're getting into it right off the top here, Conrad.
Hey boy, why don't you play? Don't make him play, sir. He's shit.
Balls, Mr. Bennett!
She's great. I love her. This is kind of fun because I feel like we've had two very low-key efforts in the series so far. So we've obviously jumped ahead to the 90s, but this is giving me, like, oh, okay, we're not afraid to swear.
Yes.
You, Janus.
You, Janus, get back here now!
Huge.
Are you
Yes.
deaf?
Yep. That's the level of comedy we're going for.
Also, there's nothing more gay relatable than bailing on Jim.
Well, quite. I wanted to ask you about this. How do you feel about the connection between queer people and being bad at sports? Because I believe you're quite a sporty person yourself.
This is true, yes, but it wasn't until I became an adult that I became sporty. So it was something I deeply resented. Like, I played sports as a kid, but it was like soccer, karate, things where I could kind of rely on other people. And it wasn't until I became an adult that I decided I actually wanted to do sports for myself. And that's something I really enjoy now.
I just exercise privately because
Right.
I was the kid that was picked last for sports and stuck in goal.
Well, I do think it's interesting how many queer coming of age films deal with like sexuality via some kind of like a sports team camaraderie, falling in love with a teammate and that kind of stuff. Like, it's actually a pretty well-worn facet of this, do we want to say subgenre? But
I think so, and it's interesting watching this. I think Heartstopper, not to mention it every single time, but I think it owes quite a debt to this. See what you think.
What, Sandra? Slag.
rude. So I'm getting the suggestion that there might be some class dynamics and racial dynamics going on in this as well.
Yes, this is a council estate. So this is working class Britain, London, rather than Merchant Ivory, for example.
Okay.
You're not getting any costumes in this drama.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Look, you're not too old to be taking over me knee, young man. Do you hear me?
Oh, bloody Thamesmead can hear you.
Yeah, well, you've got to start doing your game.
Slightly combative mother-son relationship.
Yeah, even a rainbow right at the beginning.
You know what? Let's get this queer propaganda on the road right from the start.
I don't want kids.
Kids are cunts.
Anyone been calling
It's a
you names?
controversial opinion.
What?
I don't know.
I will say your country has a very different relationship to that word than my country.
The blind's better notice
Yes,
me, do
it's
ya?
quite noticeable that.
Oh, yeah?
I much prefer your sort of acceptance of it as just, you know what? It's something that we say. It's a little rude and derogatory, but I think I don't know. I like using it because I think we need to get over ourselves.
Yeah, definitely. And it's interesting to me that that word is thought of as the rudest word in the English language, generally speaking, and yet the male equivalent is not. It's just silly. Yeah, I think that stems from something.
Misogyny?
Oh, yeah.
I also feel like this movie might be very musical.
It's as close to you can get as musical without actually being a musical. How do you feel about the works of Mama Cass?
I mean, admittedly, I'm not super familiar. I recognize the songs, but I can't call myself a fan.
Okay. Because there's a lot of Mama Cass in this movie.
All right. Maybe I'll be a fan by the end of the film.
Maybe.
That's not natural, is it?
What ain't?
A girl her age into Mama Cass.
She's got a really beautiful voice.
And what's the matter with Madonna?
She's a slag.
Hypocrite.
I gotta start bringing slag back into my vocabulary.
That be the phone.
Well, it wouldn't be the bloody Hoover bag, would it?
She's lovely.
I love an abrasive woman, though. I can't tell. I get the impression she's actually a very attractive woman, and it's like the hair and period is not always super flattering.
No, I like how fearless she is in terms of what she's wearing, just sort of leggings and things, not the sort of
Yeah.
thing that makes an actress look great, but very appropriate for who
Right.
her character is.
Oh my god, the shoe collection. Oh, see, now she looks great.
I'm
Yeah.
going to work. There's a
Oh, this is a contrast.
Hmm.
So there's your bubble and squeak.
Okay. So can't tell. Is this our love interest?
Yes.
Okay. Of course, he's coming from a slightly bad quote-unquote family.
Hmm.
Oh no. Look at that beach bum.
Ugh.
Not appetizing.
No.
I will say, there's nothing more that I love in a queer film where you just see the crucifix on the wall. We don't need to belabor the point, but it's telling you, okay, this is probably a more conservative, more religious family background, probably going to factor in some way.
I also think there is a sharp contrast between how this council flat looks and the one that we've seen next door.
Mm-hmm. This is a very masculine space, right? Very sparsely decorated, not very welcoming or homey.
Yeah, not well looked after either, stains on the walls and such.
Mm-hmm.
I can't eat all that.
One of these situations.
Where'd you meet my mum?
Planet Earth?
Where?
You know, out and about, here and there.
Oh, jeez.
It's a place. Place is just somewhere where, shit happens.
Yeah, but where?
Gateways.
That's a
So
down
what?
market grocery store.
She's 35.
What's age? Age is just...
Oh my god, this guy, he's gonna speak this way the whole film.
Mum said you was a painter. I know why she chose you. Needs the lines done. Don't like the colour. I had it painted last year. Like that, my mum. Goes off things fast. She might go off you. Won't be laughing then, will you? that spliff. Well, give us some.
Still illegal in the UK.
Really?
Yeah.
Hey.
Well, you folks don't know how to have any fun, do you?
No, really annoys me.
I wonder, can we pause here?
We can.
I'd have.
So, as a first time watch, this is a curious experience because we've got a plethora of characters, and the movie's not really cueing me as to whether the boys or the adults are the main sort of focus. And I wonder, what do you think of this film as a kind of, it's almost like cross-generational in some ways?
It is, yes. And it also does that thing that is very common in British soap operas as well, where it's dealing more with a sort of a sense of community that I see in every sort of British movie. There's always this sense that even, you know, among the working classes, like in Paddington and such, like, you know, everybody on the street knows each other and they're all bright and fun, colourful characters. And reality is, unless I'm just living on the wrong streets, none of us know each other. It's not reality at all.
Do you think that that plays into a kind of like fantasy ideology of what the UK is or could be?
I think it does, or maybe what it used to be, maybe around the time of the war, but I don't think it's been like that since the 70s and 80s.
No. I mean, you're saying the war as though like one in the are you talking about one later than the Second World War? Because...
No, yeah. So 50s and 60s, yeah, maybe there was a sense of community. I don't really see it now, but maybe I'm just living in the wrong towns all the time. I don't know.
Maybe.
But yeah, it's very typical of these sort of British light comedy drama movies that you'll have this cross-generational quirky bunch of characters. Everybody knows each other. And everybody tolerates each other's differences, even though they making fun of each other all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm thinking like Kinky Boots or The Full Monty or Calendar Girls or something like that. So yeah, I'm curious to see how the teenagers will sort of factor into all of this.
Yes. I think they emerge more as central characters as it progresses. Let's see.
My own flat.
I haven't had the interview yet.
One of these days I'm going to be dripping in money, I am. Right, this is me. See you tomorrow, babe.
See you, love.
I feel like any person who says, I'm going to be dripping in money, probably will not be dripping in money.
No.
While walking home from work, Sandra discovers Steve crying alone. She takes him home.
You'll have to top and tail with Jamie, I'm afraid.
Oh, dear.
I was going to say, there's another term for that.
You little Stevens round at our place tonight. I've every mind to report you, Ronnie. Are you listening to me?
What are you reading then? Ah, it's my mum's. Oh yeah, I've seen that in the shop. Hello. Hello.
Cute.
You always wear glasses when you're eating. I'm supposed to. You don't in school. It's hardly fetching, is it? No, it looks all right. Yeah? Yeah, I'm telling you.
It's interesting because both of these boys seem very similar. I'm used to one of them being far more outgoing, more obviously athletic.
Yeah, or perhaps more along the lines of a masculine stereotype, maybe.
Yeah. Like Steve should fit that bill, and maybe he will, but he seems surprisingly sensitive early on.
Yeah.
Steve. You all right? Yeah. Right. Steve. What? Night. Night, Jamie.
Over it.
We have a game of skins and shirts.
Oh, yeah. My favourite, especially when it's football season, because it was always the winter. Yeah.
Oh, yes. A little conventional roughhousing among the boys. Heaven forbid a white t-shirt that gets wet. I feel like I just missed a lot of cutesy things about his... Oh, okay. Hello.
Hello.
That was like a stark dichotomy, though, right? Where you get distracted by seeing his butt, but then you also immediately are confronted with the bruises on his back.
Yeah. So you feel bad immediately for objectifying him in any way.
Yeah.
And what's he most concerned about him seeing is probably not his butt, is it?
Probably not.
It's probably the abuse.
Even though everyone knows, right? Like, the reason you were here is because you literally got locked out of your house last night.
Shut up.
Oi, manners.
My mother never taught me none.
He makes me die, he does.
That's the intention.
Bet you don't talk to your old man like that, eh, Steve?
I don't speak, full stop.
Oh, no offence, Steve, you know what I mean.
Mum,
I've got to get in.
Yeah, you do that, Steve.
I'm going boxing with me dad later.
What? Well, can't you get enough of it, eh, Steve?
She's a confounding character. Like, in some ways, she's very likable, but also she's horrendous.
Yeah. She's a bit rough and ready.
Which I appreciate. I mean, I'm definitely not one of those people who needs characters to be high and mighty and moral, or else I hate them. But yeah, I mean, there's some of these elements are very 90s, aren't they?
They are, yeah.
won't try and be a bit more like a mother to me.
Oh, pull that one on me. I'm a terrible mother who don't know her ass from her elbow. I never had a mother, so what do I know about bringing up kids?
I'm not surprised she abandoned you.
You skinny little
Oh,
bastard.
boy.
Oh.
Not like my dad.
No, you're like me.
How am I weird?
You're all right.
A lot of frustration here, and we're taking it out on each other. But they managed to find common ground at the end of it, so...
Yeah, I really appreciate how we had earlier scenes that were, you know, jokey and mildly combative, and we thought, oh, what an amusing mother-son relationship. But then that hurt. Like, that scene was rough to watch.
Yeah.
Do you want to come to the boxing?
Leave me alone.
It's not like he can't relate. This is not going at all the way I thought it was going to. I really thought it was going to be a, like, boys on the football team.
Ah, okay. Yeah. It's a much richer milieu of council estate life.
Mm-hmm. Well, which is nice, because I've seen a bunch of films where it's just, you know, people having combative difficulties on the team, and it's like, okay, you know, I'm sure we'll encounter that later on in the series at some point, but...
Oh, Steve's back again.
Mm-hmm.
With a black eye this time.
It's my mum's body shop. Soothes your feet. Lie down and I'll rub it into your back if you want.
This is unfortunate because it's a nice moment of intimacy, but I can't at all appreciate the burgeoning relationship between the boys because I'm just really upset about an abused kid.
Yeah. I think it is much more about establishing trust and empathy at this point.
Right.
He's got different layers of bruising there. But how's this for an excuse for a reason for physical contact?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna work at the
A little more believable than some of the other films we've watched so far.
Timmy shifts. I'm gonna stink 'em in. Have you ever kissed anyone?
Oh, hello.
Oh boy.
Stuck your tongue in. Looking like this. You ain't ugly. They've made me ugly. I don't think you're ugly.
Spoiler alert, he is not ugly. I know that diminishes the point of this, but...
Yeah, Turn over.
Try to keep it
I'll get you
light.
front.
I can't.
Oh,
I'm too sore.
good
Made too
call.
much noise in your mama came.
Good save there.
Right? Everyone believes that excuse.
Eleanor Parker.
Definitely not because you have a heart on.
Turn the light off.
No,
Please.
I don't wanna. I'll come back that in with you.
No.
Please.
You stay where you are.
How can I kiss you if we're 69ing?
Are they on the same page in terms of what they're talking about here?
It's hard to tell, isn't it? I think they both kind of implicitly know, but let's see if something happens here. I don't think we're going to get much more than this. Okay, prove me wrong, movie.
Do you think I'm queer?
Don't matter what I think.
Can we pause it there?
We can indeed.
Okay, so we just had our first sort of real moment of vulnerability and intimacy between the two boys. And I guess I wanted to highlight the fact that Steve uses the word queer instead of gay. And I'm wondering, is that more of a British colloquialism, or do you think it was like a deliberate choice?
It's definitely a British colloquialism, and I think the understanding of queer has changed over time. It certainly means something different in 2023 than it meant in the 90s or the 80s, where it literally was just another word for gay.
Oh, okay. Because here, if you had have used queer before, maybe like 10 years ago, it would have just meant different or odd.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, it definitely had this connotation, but it certainly wasn't understood in the nuanced way in the LGBTQ spectrum as it is now.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. I was quite surprised, actually, by the main character, whose name I've forgotten. Oh, Jamie.
Jamie.
Yeah. Because I wasn't expecting him to be quite as bold as that.
Mm-hmm. No, I wouldn't have thought he has it in him, frankly. Like, he's definitely queer coded in his kind of shyness, his sensitivity, but he doesn't seem like the proactive type.
No. No, I would have expected it of Steve, actually, rather than him. So I'm surprised.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how this progresses because I don't know. I mean, I'll confess, I'm finding Steve a more interesting character, and I don't know if that's just because he's got a bit more going on, or it's more front-facing. Like Jamie's situation with his mother seems more obvious to me.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, he's definitely more interesting than you would usually get. Usually he would be just as masculine girl, let's watch the boxing and the football as the rest of his family just to fit in, but obviously it's not working for him.
No. He is not able to blend in with his brother and father.
No, not at all. Okay, let's see what happens next. With the deathless question, can I touch you, hanging on the screen?
I mean, honestly.
Sore.
Are you sore in the penis?
You wait, little girl, on an empty stage for fate to turn the light on.
I wouldn't have matched a potential sex scene with The Sound of Music. It's that
Reminds
awkward
me.
morning after.
Yeah, it reminds me of Planes, Trains and Automobiles. Those aren't pillows.
You know, I mocked it, but this song choice is actually pretty apt considering it really is about being on the cusp of adulthood, right? And clearly last night went further than we realized.
Yes, it went quite far, I would say.
It's brazen, actually. I would have expected in a movie like this for a first sexual encounter to have been a little bit of kissing, maybe some touching, but didn't think we were doing pants off action.
Great kid.
No.
Fuck off, I'm not even my cousin.
Motherhood teach you.
Yeah, well, if I did get pregnant, I would have got rid of it like some steppers I can mention.
Oh, Leah, she's such a
you're
character.
the black hole of Thamesmead, love. Not me.
I could honestly imagine a drag queen doing her as an inspiration.
Yeah, it's interesting. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Did you ever shop for dirty magazines?
I have not, no. I could never bring myself to reach up to that top shelf. Look, there's an Attitude up there.
Mm-hmm. Or is it an Advocate?
I think it's Attitude. That was a big one here.
Yes, I never did the magazines, but I do remember the first time I rented a dirty movie and I returned it because, you had to do it back very early the next day. The rental period was very short. And I was so humiliated because I didn't realize that if the store was open, you were meant to go in and walk the video back. I thought you put it through the slot, and the guy came out and yelled at me in the street to say, "Hey, you did it wrong." And I was so ashamed. I never rented another video again.
Really? Of any kind, not just steamy stuff?
Well, no, the steamy stuff, because this was a queer store. So,
Okay.
He basically outed me in the middle of the street.
No.
Well, I've been worried about you. Don't be. Well, I was. Well, don't be. Nothing's happened, yeah? I'm all right. I'm pucker.
Now we're fighting because we can't process what we did.
Things get better, are they? That's scared of being called queer.
Said that awfully loudly.
Are you? Maybe. Maybe not. And are you? Queer. Gay.
Ah.
Very happy.
I like that.
Well, say something. I can't. Say no then.
He was so verbal only a couple minutes ago.
Let's get a drink, eh?
Yeah, definitely wants him to come over again for another sleepover.
Mm-hmm.
Tony
Oh, no, what's wrong with Tony?
Tony has an inner life?
Tony's not just a surfer bloke?
It's just something Leah said.
Leah?
Do you want me to hit you hard? Yeah!
What are we doing?
Why does Leah want to be smacked over the head with some hair tongs?
One day when Cass was
Oh,
decorating
no.
her home, a lead pipe struck her on the head, and when she recovered from the resultant concussion...
Lo and behold, her voice had changed.
This is
I love that
totally
baby.
inappropriate.
Little cow.
Fancy a drink, babes?
Have a wank, big bollocks.
Shall I call an ambulance?
Call the vet, have it put down.
Hey,
Jesus.
Steve, you got any of E's left? No. Give us an E or I spread it round where you slept last week. What would your dad say?
Piss off.
Oh.
You stupid queer.
Okay, I take it back. I don't like Leah anymore. I mean, we do this with characters in movies, right? Where they'll come around, but they say things in the heat of the moment that are really hurtful.
I've been sticking up for you. Told him I knew you slept on the couch.
It's just interesting because I don't really understand what she gained from that. She very publicly just outed them in front of this other girl, but says, "Hey, I've been doing everything to protect you by lying on your behalf." It's like, okay, well, you're saying and doing different things right now.
Yeah, and I can understand why Jamie's mother was unhappy, because if she miscarried a child and she's claiming that she gave it away, that's not nice.
Oh, not a lot.
That's huge. Yeah.
Claire's mom.
I mean, again, we should note this is more interesting than characters who are only good and moral or only bad and reprehensible. Like, this is what real people are like, and I actually appreciate that the film isn't trying to sugarcoat or make these characters different from how they might be in real life.
Yeah. I think generally the sense here.
The film is also really good at doing that, right? Where it has like moments of high conflict that make you really upset or make you feel things, and then undercutting it with like a really funny barb or a joke or something like that.
Yeah, but also I think the sense is that working class people have this sense of just speaking unvarnished truth to each other, and sometimes it seems incredibly harsh.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't actually mean it. They're just closer to the edge than us middle class folk.
Well, yeah, I mean, and I'd be curious to know if people feel like that is a stereotype. Like, is this just something that we do when we're talking about low income / low class people?
No.
But yeah, I mean, like for muckety mucks like you and I, who are we're just like, oh my god, we're clutching our pearls. That's so impolite. That's so improper. You should never say something like that to someone.
Yeah, Steve. Any beans to spill? Little bird tells me you're in the lurk. Oh, don't look so worried. Jamie told me all about it. What's she like?
Of course, the default assumption. If you are male, you must be in love with a woman.
Buy Nolene a present with this. Get her some flowers.
Sandra, I can't take your money.
Oh, I had a good night for tips last night. Go on.
Got you this.
Sexy underwear, sexy underwear.
Ma, what a pretty hat. It's the prettiest hat I ever did see, Master Stephen. This mean we're engaged?
Way to misread the situation there, Jamie.
I've got an auntie in Gravesend. Thought we could go there one night because she's deaf.
Is he saying he's loud?
Look at that ruckus 90s gay club action.
You cannot transmit the HIV virus via frottage. What's frottage?
It's yogurt. It's French.
Oh dear, boys.
Oh,
no.
to be young and stupid.
But get a horrible feeling that people are going to talk about me behind my back and not accept me as I am. Also, my family don't know. Unhappy, North London.
Get over that river, mate. I'll make you happy. Find page 92. It's the bottom right-hand corner.
He remembers the specifics enough to say the exact page.
The 180 bus goes right to it. So.
Look at that. Isn't that beautiful?
You never get it through the front door.
Yeah, but you never know if you're going to be living somewhere else, do you? It's a work of art, that is. Without
No, I know that we're meant to look at their place and think that it's,
Sandra?
you know, not everything that you should aspire to, but like the color scheme, as you said, she takes care of it. I actually think it's very cozy.
And I haven't finished with you.
It's another thing that reminds me of Heartstopper, actually, the use of yellows and blues. It's a very bright,
You rang
happy
about my little git of a son?
place. It's not a miserable, dour kitchen sink drama, the likes of which we tend to get out of Britain, dealing with this sort of milieu.
Even the amount of like natural light that they get, right? Like there's a lot of windows and just it feels open. Ooh. Oh boy, she's gonna find the magazine.
You seen Jamie?
All right, it's time to critique the drag. Will it be high quality or low quality?
I'm not sure what the British pubs in the 90s will stand up to drag race standards.
Yes, I'm imagining very little snatching of the crown. I'm saying dress, yes, wig, no.
Okay. Yeah, this is Hettie MacDonald's first feature film. She directed the play.
Okay.
And Channel 4 gave her the chance for her directorial debut. She's since directed a lot of TV and recently did a feature again, The Unlikely Pilgrimage of Harold Fry.
I will say, I think the space is being used well. Like, it doesn't feel too claustrophobic, like I sometimes feel when we watch adaptations of plays. But when you said it, I could also imagine how this would work on just a kind of single stage, right? All right, get it, boys.
Yeah, it's very young kissing, I would say.
A little desperate.
Yeah.
You can take your time with it. It's fine. You've got a while.
Had a nice night.
Yeah.
Here we go.
You never told me you kept getting it.
Everyone gets it.
And does everyone get called a queer bent bastard and all, do they?
Is this her trying to be supportive?
You're pissed.
No, I'm not.
You're pissed from a bloody gay bar.
How'd you know it's gay anyway?
Because it's got a bloody great pink neon arse outside of it.
You've been spying on me.
Someone at work, so you go in.
Well, it don't mean I'm gay.
Ooh.
They want to mind their own business.
It's funny how she's not being truthful about either.
Because sometimes, Jamie, I can put two and two together and make bloody four. I'm not bloody stupid, you know?
I went for a drink, big deal. Everyone in my class goes drinking.
Yeah. But they don't all go to the bloody Gloucester, though, do they?
Some of them take drugs. At least I ain't doing that.
No, I bloody hope you're not.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a bundle. Go back to bed.
I can't sleep, Jamie.
Don't take it out on me.
Will you just talk to me, Jamie?
I'm knackered.
Jamie, please, just talk to me.
Like, what kind of response is she looking for here?
Some things are just hard to say.
I know. I know that.
You think I'm too young. You think it's just a phase. You think I'm going to catch AIDS and everything.
That's the most quintessential component of any 90s queer coming-of-age film, eh?
Yeah.
Looming specter of AIDS over everything.
Don't cry.
I mean, arguably not just 90s, but a lot of 80s movies as well.
Yeah.
It was one of my mother's first comments when I came out, 2002.
Really?
Yeah, she said, "Don't have a problem with it. I just don't want you to get AIDS."
Yeah, because when did we get to the point where it was something that people could live with quite comfortably with medication? Is it the 10s?
Yeah, arguably not quite at that point, but it wasn't far off. Like,
No.
people, there were still cocktails, but, you know, it wasn't the death sentence that it was in, like, the 80s by far.
And all the time you're doing a 70 minus 1.
Is Leah okay?
I'll admit, I'm perplexed. I'm perplexed at how the film uses Leah. I either want her to be more present and involved in the narrative, or less present. This kind of half in, half out isn't quite working for me.
What have you ever had to fight for in your life?
Oh my god. Now is not the time.
Thank you to all members of the Academy. The war means so much to me. I've never won anything in my life before. I don't like old men.
That's cool. It's no problem.
Well, it is a problem, actually, Tony. Don't pander to her.
What's going on?
Rose!
What is going on? This is such a perplexing development.
Leah? Leah, have you taken like a trip, you know? Right, babes. You're safe.
I'm glad to get off this bloody estate. I'm phoning the police.
Nice one, Marilyn.
I've been offered a job, if you must know.
Thanks for telling me.
Snack.
Leah!
I'll lead the silly cow.
We can't just...
Tony? Tony!
Okay, so I misspoke, and I can see that working very well in a play, and it did not work very well here. This was just like it's too much all at once, and as a result, like the things that needed to hit really hard, like Leah was a distraction from what we needed to be paying attention to there.
Yeah, and I couldn't tell whether it was supposed to be comic relief or whether it was supposed to be a serious suicide moment. Oh, and it's still going on.
It's still going on, yeah. It's the tricky thing in a text like this, right? Where you're trying to intermingle comedy with more serious dramatic issues. Like, this is serious stuff, but I don't know if the movie wants us to find it ridiculous that, like, Tony is running around in Sandra's nightgown and it's, like, very feminine on a masculine man.
You think I want these flats infamous for child murder? No, so I won't be telling your dad.
Well, he'd kill me.
Yeah, I just said that.
No, he would.
Yeah, I think we've established that already, actually, Steve.
They all would, all of them.
I'll bloody kill you in a minute if you don't stop snivelling and shut up. You're a good lad. And that's what counts. And somewhere, you find people that won't want to kill you.
No, I won't.
Oh my God.
You found the Gloucester.
I hate it.
Well, somewhere else then. Shut up.
There ain't nowhere else.
There is actually, Steve. There's an island in the Mediterranean called Lesbian. And all its inhabitants are dykes. I think you got your eye wiped there.
What?
No one can properly.
I think that was meant to be a joke, but it did not work.
No. I mean, hats off, it's a more spiky and bumpy and interesting coming out scene than the idealized ones you sometimes have.
This is true, right? I mean, we didn't have violence, or at least not violence in the traditional sense, and we didn't have the easy everything is simple, right?
5 minutes.
Yeah.
This wasn't Sebastian.
No.
Things just were like perfect and simple.
Or Love, Simon, where everybody's just over the moon.
Mm-hmm. It's hard. I mean, we've seen so many derivations of this. I'm not sure there's a right way to do it, but I think we can all sort of appreciate when it does go a little bit awry.
Mm. The thing with this whole wider milieu of characters, though, is that I'm not really getting a strong sense of what Steve and Jamie's relationship is like.
No, and I didn't really have a good sense of it even before they started their romance, right? Like, they were neighbors and we knew that they saw each other at school, but were they friends? Were they casual acquaintances?
Yeah. I mean, bonding over peppermint foot cream is, it's a sweet moment, but I'd like to know something more substantive about who they are. And why they like each other beyond being 17 and just ready to rumble.
Although, admittedly, I mean, that's one of the areas I often forgive a YA film or a coming-of-age tale, is the idea that sometimes the characters themselves don't always know what they want, or they behave impulsively or in ways that don't always make sense. So I'm not using that to carte blanche excuse some of the decisions this film has made, but...
It's true.
I wish I was the one that was going away. Nothing ever happens around here.
Well, apart from when you go on a bender.
I was going to say,
What about your new school?
and then I sometimes take drugs and nearly die by suicide.
Do you want to come to the Gloucester?
Do what?
Gay pub.
Don't know any gay blokes.
Yes, you do.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, she's only going to go if she's going to be a fag hag.
And they're all
Right.
backers never get married.
Or a fruit fly.
Go Woolwich, yeah?
What?
Yeah.
Pub call then Stars nightclub.
You're all dressed like that. Why don't you come down to Gloucester with us? Ring the other girls, tell them you meet them later.
Jamie.
Then have to enjoy yourself, dear. It's a male stripper tonight as well.
So we're just doing what? Like, let's all go to the gay bar. Let's all go to the gay bar.
Yeah? I will never have grandchildren.
That was also a common belief in the 90s.
Mm-hmm. That's why I'm lucky enough to have a sister who definitely did, so I was immediately off the hook.
Ah.
Get back to you, Ag. No, Tony, I think you better go.
Oh.
Here. Stick that down the street for us, will you?
Oh. I don't understand what happened between those two.
Yeah, does she resent him for going off and trying to save Leah? Or is it just the fact that she's moving on and as a result she knows that their romance can't continue?
Hmm.
What are you doing?
Oh, look, characters we haven't touched base with in 45 minutes.
Yeah. Haven't really been a very strong presence or threat in the movie.
No. I mean, I guess he kind of did what he needed to at the beginning of the film.
Mm.
Dance with me.
It's Terminator-like scanning of the local area.
Right? Scanning for threats. All clear. So I'm assuming that this is the end of the film because it's got a kind of resolution to it, but I don't know. What do we think of in terms of like how this narrative has come together?
It's a bit scrappy, but I think it's just going for some sort of acceptance.
Yeah, inching the characters a little bit closer to knowing and accepting each other, right? Because even this, right? You know, at the beginning of the film, these two couldn't even carry a conversation without insulting each other.
Here, Steve. What? Imagine your dad's face.
Like, here's the thing. That can't work because we established at the beginning of the movie, and even 2 scenes ago, that his dad will kill him.
Big and butch. What colour eyes?
All right.
There you go. And they all lived happily ever after.
Presumably. It's definitely what the end of the movie wants us to think.
It is, isn't it? Yeah, so dancing in the sunset. So, what did you make of that?
Yeah, you said scrappy. I think my colloquialism would probably be a little bit messy. You know, there's some definite 90s ideas in there, or even like approaches to queerness. I think part of it is that I struggle when stories try to take on too much. So the community aspect was appreciated in some regards, but in other places I was like, okay, I feel like you're trying to tell too many stories, and as a result, I'm not getting enough of any one or couple of characters.
Yeah. And particularly, I wanted the romance to focus more on the romance. And
right.
We didn't get an awful lot of it. As you said, when you're 17, how much is there to say, really? But still, I would have liked to have...
I think more. More than this, still.
I think more than this, yeah. And, you know, certainly, and I hate to keep mentioning it over and over again, but something like Heartstopper did go into more of the complexities of what they were thinking and feeling, and what impact it had on their friends, and difficult decisions they had to make, and the difference between being honest and truthful, and sublimating things. So, you know, it's... I wanted a bit more, and I also wanted to see a bit more of them as a couple. But
right,
apart from just a bit of bad kissing against a tree, we didn't get much.
Yeah, it was interesting considering how quickly the romance did escalate. Like, traditionally, we would have seen more of a, not courtship, but some kind of like rumbling and discovery, and then escalating towards maybe like an actual, you know, copulation. And here it just kind of went directly from kiss to presumably full-on sex, and then messy kissing. And yeah, I felt like we could have streamlined it a little bit more to investigate, I don't know, how they found that process, or because there's moments that you can tell us things about the characters through the intimacy and the sexual activity.
Yes, very much so, and yet we get none of that in this.
We get none of that.
No. So it's very 90s, and it almost feels as though the whole community aspects, and certainly the character Leah, was sort of like, look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this, don't look at the gay couple. We're just throwing as many things into the mix as we can just to make it overall palatable.
Yeah. Well, I wonder if maybe the movie is just doing something different than what we were looking for from this narrative, right? Like the end sequence where everyone circles them and there is that suggestion of acceptance, or at least general laissez-faire, okay, nobody's getting gay bashed, maybe not everybody's happy with it, there's a little bit of voyeurism, like, what? But it's still they have come to a place where they can dance publicly in front of people and not be worried about who they are. And that does feel like it says more about the people who live there as opposed to about these two boys and their relationship.
Yeah, it's very true. Although, yeah, Steve getting to the point where he can do that and not be worried about being murdered is
right.
Quite something. But yeah, I quite like it. I think that's really as far as the film goes in terms of themes. It's just the Mama Cass lyrics, make your own kind of music even if no one else is singing along.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's as complex as it gets, which is, for 1990, whatever it was.
7, 8?
6. Yeah.
6.
So 6.
Okay.
I mean, it's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
For me, certainly, I remember it being quite a milestone because the only other representation that I had seen up until that point was like Merchant Ivory's Morris. And then prior to that, it was things like Scum, where the only representation of queer sexuality was rape. So it's not great. So,
yeah. I'm trying to remember, one of the first queer films that I saw from around this period would have been a movie called Trick, which has Nev Campbell's brother Christian in it, and he basically goes out and has a meet cute with a go-go boy, and his best friend is actually played by Tori Spelling, and it's all kind of a like all in one night, all they want to do is find a place where they can hook up, and everything just derails their plans. It's an older, like the characters are older, so we can actually kind of investigate that a little bit more. Like he can be more sexually frank, but it's around the same time period. And I'm always interested in these kinds of movies where part of the sheer novelty of the movie is simply that we are presenting queer people as sexually interested. Like characters who want to fuck exist among queer people.
Yes. Rather than just side characters who can be the foil for, Julia Roberts or whatever, but we don't
quippy one-liners.
Yeah, we don't actually want to see what they do. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. So it's progress, and I do think that Heartstopper owes a debt to this. I think this is certainly one step towards what would be possible 30 years later, even with a younger group of characters.
Right.
Yeah. So, tip of the shade, most ridiculous or memorable aspect?
I think the most ridiculous or memorable aspect is the boys arbitrarily deciding they're just going to hop into a gay bar, which is apparently all ages. But I love this idea that fresh blood immediately solicits the attention of a drag queen who partially embarrasses them, but also encourages them to make out in the woods.
Yes, and makes them feel welcome, I guess, in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Just sort of breaking the ice, so to speak.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it does feel like it's quite a seminal moment, because I can remember 2 or 3 other movies where going to to see a drag performance is in some way transformative. Don't know why. In fact, there was the Amazon movie Dating Amber that had that recently as well. So
okay. Yeah, it feels like a trope that has persisted, which is interesting, considering there's still a bunch of people I know who have never been to a drag show, or people who are like, oh, I've been to every drag show.
Right, I've never been to a drag show.
Oh, Conrad. When we meet up in person, we will go to a drag show.
Lipsit's lip service, most facile treatment of a serious issue.
Well, as we talked about, I had a love-hate relationship with Leah, but I really don't care for the facile treatment of potential suicide in here. If that is even what we were meant to take away from it. Either that or it was some kind of don't do drugs PSA, because Leah just nearly plummeting off of the balcony and then walking into traffic was treated as a complete non-event. And I just, honestly, I think that that's kind of irresponsible.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You get hints of her saying afterwards, "Nothing ever happens here. This place is boring," or whatever.
Right.
So you get the sense that she is possibly facing some sort of existential crisis and lack of hope. So it could be that, or it could just be the anti-drug PSA. But still, it's clearly being used as a comedy foil to a very serious. It punctuates the coming out scene, and
yes, yeah, and if you're going to do that, it almost needs to be its own moment. It shouldn't be punctuating some other important moment in the film.
Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah, I think that's the one misstep. And the Chili Award for the best or worst moment of sex or intimacy. I mean, peppermint foot cream from Body Shop has got to be the moment, hasn't it?
Absolutely. And I'm going to say it's almost the best and the worst in some ways, because once again, the film is treating this very serious issue, which is the physical abuse that Steve is going through with his older brother and father. But then it transitions into an intimate romantic moment. I actually felt like this was a good example of how the film manages to address themes and issues that are both serious as well as sexy and funny. Like, this felt like a really good balance compared to something like we talked about in the lip service moment with Leah.
Yeah, and I like it that it's an excuse to get two men to touch each other. Is
sure
take care of my physical injury moment of trust and vulnerability. But here, it actually called for a great deal of empathy, because he was revealing more than just his naked body. He was revealing his abuse. So I was kind of expecting them just to wake up in each other's arms and that be development number one, but clearly that was not enough for them, which, again, I have to remember what being 17 is like. Maybe that's the answer.
Surprisingly enough, a lot of 17-year-olds are not completely chaste, and sometimes they do get down on their first date.
Yes, appears so. Okay, well, I really enjoyed showing this seminal piece of British cinema to you. I hope you enjoyed it.
I did, yes. Thank you for introducing it to me.
Until next time.
We'll see you.